Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Ian Barker from Kansas City, Missouri. My host, colleague Vince, is here with Indiana, and our guest today is Jeff Muhr, the state director for Missouri. Jeff, can you hear me okay? Okay. Once again, Jeff has technical issues, but we do have Jeff's slide deck, which is a good thing. So what we'll do is we'll get Jeff to reboot it. So Jeff, see if you can go out the room and come back in. We've got a great crowd this afternoon, so appreciate that. And we will get through this content. So Heather, Martin, Colin, and all the other colleagues, thank you. This is the second part of a tactical training program that Jeff and the staff of Missouri ODP created based on a game training model. So we're going to try and get Jeff back in the room here, and we'll go through this. And this one is obviously a little bit more soccer related than some of our previous, more getting to know people. So as you can see, we're just calling Mike and we'll get it going. Thank you, Amin. Rob, nice to see you. I don't know if it's some magic about Tuesdays. We get better attendance on Tuesdays than Mondays. So you guys should definitely join us on other days. By the way, for those of you that are college coaches, I'm sporting my McAllister Division III men's soccer coffee mug today. And clearly Jeff is working out his life with his audio. So please feel free to write me comments, but this is my 6th Zoom call of the day. And Vince and I are now sort of up in the upper 20s, 30s a day, a week. So we have these technical issues. It's no problem. Vince, I take it you can hear me okay? Apparently nobody can hear me.
Jeff is.
Oh, Vince can. That's good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good. So we'll let Jeff get back in and we'll get it going. Mondays are the new Sunday. Yeah, Amin says Monday is the new Sunday. And now we've got Monday off because it's what, Memorial? Is it Memorial Day? Is that what it is? Yeah, Memorial Day. So. Okay, so Jeff has rejoined the room. He will turn on his mic. Jeff, are you there? Jeff?
Yes. Hi, guys.
Okay. I'm going to close my screen off and talk to people in the chat box. Vince, let's get Mike going. Oh, Vince is gone. All right, Mike. Jeff.
Yes.
Mike did part 1. You're going to do part 2. Let's run the show and let's get it going.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me. A couple weeks ago, Mike Quanti, one of our ODP coaches from Missouri, did the kind of theory part of this whole process that we're doing, the tactical awareness training. And Mike, it kind of came about, Mike and I were talking about how we could engage and activate our ODP kids through this COVID-19 time. And some of the kids that I'm working with at one of the local high schools. And we thought it'd be a great idea to add on, because a lot of the clubs were doing a good job of getting activities to kids to work with a ball, to get out in their yard and do technical kind of work. So we wanted to train the brain, so to speak. And that's kind of where all this came from. And I'll start, go to my first slide. And basically what we did is once we came up with the idea, I did a quick little Zoom meeting with one of the groups I'm working with. And this was the email I sent out to him. I basically highlighted that we were going to send him a link to one of the games. This one happened to be Germany versus Mexico. And we used the tactical view, a little bit easier to look at and break down. Asked the kids to identify formations. And, we had a couple of weeks to work with this particular team before we got shut down because of COVID-19. And some of the tactical principles that we worked with the players were on the defensive. And you can see the bullet points: getting compact, staying compact, pressure, cover, balance, getting organized, pressing, and working together as a unit. So we reviewed those with the players and talked about them a little bit. And then we sent them the link and asked them to go ahead and watch the game, identify and timestamp moments in the game where they saw some of these tactical principles coming out. And the next the slides basically is what we saw when we got back with the players and we started having conversations in a Zoom meeting. And this particular one was, had to do with roles and responsibilities. And what I did is when the players pointed these moments out in the game, we were able to get out there, put some visuals up there and help the kids see it that way. This particular one of the players, one of our center backs, recognized that, how compact, the defense was. And so we had a conversation about that. And we talked about how we as a team, based on our style of play, would like this to actually shape up and look. So that was that particular slide. This one was another one that our center backs, one of our center backs looked at and saw that this player, as they were starting to come back and defend, is how that they were looking in over their shoulder, scanning the field, and taking in information so they can make better decisions. And this gave us an opportunity to have that conversation with players about how important it is to scan the field. Is that stuff coming clear to you guys? Like, it's kind of...
Yeah, it's good. We can put a whiteboard on so you can draw on the screen if you'd like to. Would you like to do that?
No, that's okay. These arrows will be just fine. Thank you. So yeah, anyways, and again, we're asking players to, in the big scheme of things, to look away from the ball. I think that, on the average, players have the ball on their foot probably somewhere between 45 seconds and 2 minutes in a game max in a 90-minute match. And a lot of this stuff, when the players were watching this, is they found themselves looking away from the ball. Positionally, what is my role and responsibility based on where the ball is on the field at that particular moment? This particular player saw that one of our principles was stay connected and move together as a unit and get compact, stay compact. So she illustrated and showed us that, she was watching the back four, the 3, 5, 4, and 2, how connected they were. And then also looking at the connectivity between the line in front of them, her midfielders. So she did a great job of recognizing that particular moment.
Hey, Jeff, this is Vince. So real quick, how do the kids interact with you? Like, how do they tell you? Do they just chat through the chat box? How do they do that?
Yeah, we had them unmuted. And and they took notes during the game, and we would just go through and if we needed to get them to talk a little bit, we just call on them. But most of the time, they were willing to just open up and talk. And what we found is, especially when we did this with our ODP kids, our Olympic Development Program kids, they were really into it. They enjoyed having the opportunity to explain this kind of the tactical principles of the game.
No, it's great, and the visuals are outstanding. So thank you. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm gonna pop up.
Yeah. Okay. This particular player, this was actually one of our midfielders saw this, and we had worked earlier in the year on pressing and what the role and the responsibility of our number 9 player, our striker, would be. And you could see that this player identified that this 9 from Germany in the white was pressing the Mexico back and getting her to play to one side of the field. So that opened a conversation for us to talk about vertical compactness, horizontal compactness, and get the kids to see that when we want them to play in a compact fashion, whether it's vertically or horizontally or both, this is what it looks like. And it was really important for them to understand and see that the way that number 9 player stepped into the Mexico player with the ball provided for an opportunity to cut the field in half. And everything became more predictable for the players behind that player then. So that was a great observation from one of our midfielders.
Yeah, I'm just doing the whiteboard. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And this particular one, almost the same shot, same moment, but the number 9 for Germany is in a little bit closer. And the Mexico players actually prepared the ball to play it. And we talked a little bit about the compactness, and we saw that, within this small part of the field, there were 8 players. 8 of the Germany players were able to, because of the way this 9 shaped up the run, they were able to get compact and play in a smaller area and defend in a smaller space, which obviously makes the game easier to defend when it's done that way. This was a moment that one of our strikers found in the same game. And this ball was played. There was a long ball. I don't know if you can see at the top of the screen, this ball was played in. And it was she was talking about how the number 10 or 8, we couldn't figure out exactly which player it was, but it was probably the 10 or 8 for Germany was pressing, for Mexico was pressing the German defender. And what does that mean for the players behind them? And what kind of cues does that send when our forward, our striker, or our number 10 decides to press hard against their back line? Well, that sends a message that they're going to play. Germany ends up playing this ball back into their goalkeeper, and that's a cue for the Mexico defense to step up and, again, make the field smaller. So all of these moments really came from the players, just from having conversations with them based on the principles that we've already talked about with them in training sessions. Mm-hmm. Now, this one I happen to find myself when we were training the players and we were working with the defense, and one of the girls asked, what happens when their striker, the number 9 for Germany or whoever they're playing, the opponent, steps back into the midfield to get a ball, because that player that stepped in, the number 9, the player highlighted in red, does not have the ball, but that player withdrew to get that. And this gave us an opportunity to start talking to the kids about our style of play, because people obviously and coaches have the opportunity to create whatever style they want based on their players, their abilities, the opponent, things like that. For us, the way we chose to defend in this moment was that we wanted one of our defenders to step into the midfield with that 9, so that they were an easy target to pick up a ball between our lines of defenders. And this was a great illustration, because we literally had this exact moment happen in one of the small-sided games that we were playing with the girls prior to the shutdown, and we had a conversation about it. And what we found, Vince and Ian, was that, in reflecting back on this type of training with the kids, is that it really became more concrete for them. Some kids learn visually, some kids learn auditorily, and this is just a way for us to build some more references for the players, so that when we went back out onto the field with them, when things opened back up, they've got this clearer picture and this more concrete idea of what we're trying to accomplish.
So if you'd covered the concepts before the video, so they knew what the terms meant and the general concepts, and then they get to evaluate and see them on the screen, how did you then go back to training? What happened when they went to the training field next time?
Well, we haven't had that opportunity yet, because this all came out of the shutdown. So, but when we go back, though, we've had a weekly basis with them. And we've gone through and we've done this with all of our ODP players and all of our ODP teams. And the references just grow deeper for the kids, is what we've found. Their ability to talk about the game and to have a little better understanding of what we want from them is really, that's what I've seen is grow out of this, is that opportunity.
So Robbie, Jeff, there's a question on the chat box from Robbie. And he's asking, what age group are you referring to?
This particular group for this particular webinar, we used the kids that were 15, 16, varsity level high school players. But I literally just yesterday evening, I did this with our 2010, 2009 ODP players. I did it in a much more simplistic way. We picked some really basic concepts of making it compact, keeping it compact from the defensive perspective, pressure, cover, balance. Attacking wise, I gave them spreading out, creating 2v1s, 1v1s, and looking for diagonal lines to play through, or lanes to play through. So I kept it very simple. When I start this process, I show them a picture of what I'm looking for. for example, I actually showed this picture to that group of 2010, 2009 boys, and I showed them USA is in the white in this particular game. It's the women's game, France versus USA. And you can see the commitment from USA to play in that central channel and how compact. They were completely committed to getting their 10 players in that box, or in that blue box that you're seeing, and play compact. So it's really easy for a young player to see this looks compact, and this is, what they were playing. On the flip side of that, I also illustrated to them that from an attacking perspective, spreading out France, who's highlighted in that magenta color, they were very committed to when their either center back or goalkeeper had the ball in that area of the field, they're 11, 7, 2, and 3. That's where they were to go. That's their style of play in that area of the field. So the kids, again, painting a picture, showing them what we're looking for, then giving them an opportunity to find those moments really worked well. And I was amazed at how our 2010 and 2009 boys did. They came up with some great examples and really were able to highlight and illustrate some of the principles that we talked about.
No, very good. Thank you. Yeah, the picture's great. Rob, not to be confused with Robbie, asked, is it important to watch a match that shares your same system of play and style?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, had we been on the field with our players, in this case the high school players, if we would have had game film from ours, it would have been great to use that for sure, because it becomes a little more real and live to them. But in this situation, I think it opened the doors. I mean, obviously at the higher levels, they can paint a really good picture. They're very good at executing what they want to do. And we did try to find some games that the teams were playing the way we want to play, but it also opened the door for some conversation,
Sure.
for them to expand and say, you know what, because let's face it, we get in games sometimes, and sometimes we have to change the style we play based on personnel, injuries, things like that. So having that open dialogue and sharing ideas was beneficial.
No, it's great. It's good. Mr. Barker, anything? Because Jeff, have you got a few more slides we can continue? If not, Mr. Barker.
I've just got this one and the other last one. This was we shared this with the girls because we wanted them to understand and take a look at this women's game and see how precise and exact they were. And we were looking at trends. And sometimes when when it comes down to scouting teams and you're knowing your opponents, it's looking for trends and patterns in them. And so I showed the girls these couple of slides and saying, and this is a completely different moment, but look how similar it looks to the previous slide, where this is very obvious that this is the style of play, for both teams. I mean, defensively for the US as well as attacking for France. This is what they wanted to do. And we had some great conversation. The kids were able to identify. I asked them questions like, why do you think USA would be willing to give, France these particular channels out wide? And they talked about, well, maybe they're not, maybe they feel like they're better in the air, in the center channels. So they're willing to give up service from the outside to come in. So just some higher level stuff.
Yeah.
To, again, training the brain along with the technical stuff the kids were doing already with their clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. So, quick question. There's a couple questions. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
I can hear you.
All right. Thank you. So 2 questions, from Martin, one from Martin. Were your players able to recognize what formation the teams use, like 1-4-4-2? Sorry, 4-4-2, 4-3-3.
Yeah, we actually had one of the girls on the team the liberty to go to the internet and just Googled that particular game and read the match analysis, and then she shared that with the entire group. So they were resourceful. But we did talk a little bit about that with them.
Yes, they are, those darn kids. And then John's asked, and I think someone else has the same question. Where did you find the technical cam views? In other words, the overhead view. And he said, because on YouTube, sometimes you just find the television view, you know.
Yeah. I went to YouTube channel, and when I Googled it, I just made sure I put in their women's national team tactical cam view, and several of them popped up.
Yeah, because I know ESPN3 sometimes will do a tactical cam view. Yeah, so that's very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to put one in the chat box, Vince. I'm just on YouTube, and I found a really nice one. Italy, Germany from Euro 2016. So I'll just put it in the chat box. Yeah, YouTube comes up with them pretty quick.
Yeah.
The other thing that we found is if you look hard enough, you can find 7v7, 9v9 games that are on there. So depending on the format that your teams are playing in, you can do the same kind of activity with the kids. And I was really impressed with how much they were into it. I think it was refreshing. We got great feedback and input from the parents. They were really excited that we were still staying connected with the players from the ODP standpoint. You know, we just weren't shutting down because unfortunately, you know, most of the activities are done.
Yeah. No, well, thank you. Do you have another slide, or is this the end slide?
That's it. Yeah, that was it.
All right.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much. And you've been gracious, and you've given us some extra time here. So first off, I apologize for all the technical problems I had. Glad we were able to get you on this time and finish up the session. So for those on the other end, there is part 1 up on our match day website where you signed up. It's like maybe a couple weeks ago, I think Mike did that, correct?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so there is part 1. This is part 2. This has been outstanding, and what a service you provide for your kids, and most importantly, you know, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your time and talents. So totally, truly appreciate it. Mr. Barker?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. This is I think this gives everybody an idea of whether you've got your own footage or a little bit of YouTube. You can really bring an interactive session back to the kids. And in your case, you know, ODP, you're expressing value to those players because they already put themselves in that extra environment. And so the parents are seeing that your state association is going that extra mile. I think this is great value. And I think you're right. For some kids, this will be the most powerful learning experience they've ever had. For others, they'd rather be on the field and feel the movement. But some combination of both, I think, is outstanding. Really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I will just add, you know what, I think one thing that we've talked about is continuing this even beyond when we get back out on the field. So maybe it's not a weekly or bi-weekly thing, but it's, you know, once every few weeks we connect with our players and we challenge them, you know, through their brain as well. So I think it's an idea that, you know, through some of these tough times, great ideas or good ideas come up, and we're gonna keep rolling with this and continue to challenge our players this way, as well as hopefully getting back on the field soon. So thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And for those, again, Jeff, thank you so much. And it's been outstanding, and we'd love to have you on again. For those that watch Match Day, you know, we've got like 2 or 3 like in our Match Day supporters club. So it's great. We're working on that membership, but just kidding. Tomorrow we have a day off. We're back on Thursday. Michael Venturabin will be on with the U.S. Soccer Foundation. And also we're going to have Thursday afternoon will be part 2 of a player-coach relationship with my son, Zach Gansberg, and his former college coach, Tiago Pinto. So that'll be Thursday. So thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you very much, Coach. Ian, thank you so much for helping. And everybody, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.